I'm joined by the side of the fantastic Lee Sports Village, a bespoke rugby facility. It's really important to mention that, with the big man himself, Nigel Wood, Chief Exec of the Rugby Football League. How excited are you on a scale of 1 to 10 about this season?
10, Alex. I'm as giddy as a kipper. I think it's that time of year when everybody's work has been done in the off season. I think it's a bit like going to a big horse race when all the horses have got to the starting lineup and they're all a bit frisky and they're ready to go, and we just want the tape to go up and the people that matter, the athletes, to get on the field and to provide some entertainment. And I think it's the time of year when everybody can look forward. There'll be no sending offs, no disciplinary, no controversy. There isn't anybody booing
no
or
beef.
hissing. It's a joyous time of year. It could be Christmas.
But the Betfred Super League, new sponsor, new money.
Yeah, look, commercial revenues into the sport are 17% up year on year. I know this is not the forum for a kind of stat attack on,
No, it's important. People want to hear it.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of. Sometimes we can talk our game down a little bit, but revenues commercially are stronger than they've ever been. Viewing figures were higher than they've ever been, and spectators were 1% up. Which is a tough dial to move along. But fundamentally, the game's going all right. Could be better. We'd always like a bit more, like a few more people watching, a few more people attending, a few more people participating. But we're not in bad shape.
One thing I always say to people, because we hear a lot of criticism about the RFL, and I was one of those people before I started. I look back on our first shows, I'm like, oh, this and that, and now I understand the game more. There's a lot that happens between the lines that people don't see, and I think that's really, really important to mention. So I'd like to mention it now, that if, say, the World Cup makes £3 million, and then people go, wow, why can't we spend £3 million? But between those lines, clubs might go bust, people might be bailing out of VAT bills, all sorts goes on that the RFL are accountable for, that people really need to understand.
Well, that's kind of to say so, because we do feel it sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of live in a world where people need to have someone to point a finger at or blame, and when you've got governance or government in your title, then people do look to you. And I mean, there's an obligation on ourselves at the RFL to do a better job of explaining what we've done and why we've done it, or communicating, because some of that criticism is born out of either an ignorance or a lack of us communicating clearly. So we've had a good look at ourselves to establish whether we could do a better job of telling people what's going on. Sometimes you can't. There are matters that are confidential, there are matters that for all sorts of reasons, legal reasons, other reasons, you can't just be as candid as you'd like to be. But I think every opportunity we have to be a bit more transparent will be helpful. But I don't think, do I ever think there'll be a situation where the RFL will not be at the rough end of some stuff? Then I don't, because it's part of the job, to be honest.
I want to talk to you about two things: the present and the dream. So the present, we're going to talk first about Toronto Wolfpack. Exciting opportunity for the game. If we're ever going to grow, we need to go into big cities. You've got right behind it. Tell us a bit about what your hope is for the Toronto Wolfpack.
Do you know, I mean, you picked on a perfect example there of something that's, almost like peculiar to rugby league. You look at some other sports, NFL and rugby union, that have been wrestling with how to get an American dimension into their domestic competitions. And, we hear Jacksonville Jaguars have been contemplating relocating to Wembley for 10 years or so, and rugby union are looking at how they can unlock the potential of North America. And little old rugby league has kind of nipped in, round the blind side, got in and actually done something. And yet we haven't necessarily had the fanfare or the acclaim or the respect for doing it. And what's more, there are still people within the sport that are kind of wondering what it's all about. And that includes your club owners. Someone say, well, do we really have to go and play there? And I think it's a wonderful innovation. Great credit to Eric and to David and everybody associated with that club. It's going to be a great experience. I think they'll very quickly, I suspect, morph into everybody's second favourite club in the same way Catalan Dragons did when they joined the competition, because people are intrigued by it. People are intrigued by it, and I think their season ticket sales are already either 8,000-9,000, somewhere up there, and that would put them at the top end of Super League, never mind League One. So I just think it's a wonderful and fascinating innovation, and going forward it could lead to all kinds of future developments.
If people can't see the benefit of having a franchise from North America into our competition, about how it could grow the game, and they want to keep it insular, and some of these League One clubs, no disrespect, I've been there, they get no fans, they get zero fans, and it's, to me, let's have a punt and get somewhere new rather than keep stagnating. One club that has been stagnating for a little while is Bradford Bulls. It's been through an awful process, but they've got new ownership now. Pray to God they're going to go in the right direction. Where does the RFL sit? Because I know they were very strong, and I think you should have been, about the lease of the ground, because the RFL bailed them out once. There's no way on earth they should give it back for nothing, and that's a fact of life. We've got to preserve rugby league at that place, and unless you've got the lease, you can't do that.
Yeah, well, not only you say we shouldn't have given them back for nothing. Well, you can't actually, you can't legally. The RFL's a company. It's got directors and they've got to act with the best interests of their shareholders. And the shareholders, they'll be marching down Red Hall Lane if assets that are of some value are suddenly gifted back. I think it was a very difficult time. A very difficult time from all sorts of perspectives, but particularly, as you said, for the people involved, the employees, the players, coaches, and off-field staff, all of whom have been suffered as a consequence, and it's very regrettable. I think actually part of that administrative process was more complicated than it could have been if it had been handled slightly differently. But that's then, and we now have to move forward. I think what we've said all along is that the sport needs strong clubs, and Bradford are one of those clubs that could be strong, and that doesn't give anybody a God-given right to perform at any league. At the end of the day, clubs are run by individual boards of directors, and they stand and fall on their decisions, and well-run clubs come to the surface, and poorly run clubs sink down the tables. And so long as there's a mechanism to get those clubs back again if they are deserving and make the right decisions, then that's all we can do as league administrators. I think that what we've tried to do is provide some stability after the kind of turbulence of the last 3 or 4 years, and the RFL has tried to put both help in there and support in there. It will re-emerge over the next seasons, I think, in a better shape. We certainly hope so.
The last thing on the presents is the England team. It's a World Cup year. It hasn't worked out, the warm weather camp in Dubai. Why was that? Just wasn't bought into by the clubs, or is it just wasn't the right time?
Well, I think that maybe that it was more difficult than people perhaps presumed would have been. When it was conceived, maybe there was possibly not a proper understanding of the complexities. But let's not, that's gone. We've got training camps for the England squad, the 31.
You're going to move it round to different clubs, so kids can see.
That's for the England programme. That's for the England people to work out. I think there's advantages to doing that. But there's also advantages of being relatively central. Wayne's over here later this month. In fact, in 2 weeks' time, with the Broncos as part of their World Club, and he'll be meeting all the coaches and all the players over here. And we've got a media test in Samoa against Samoa in Australia. So there's plenty to look forward to internationally. And I think that we've, you love your rugby league. I love rugby league.
I love it so much.
We all love Hull versus OKR, or Whiting versus Workington, or even Wigan Saints, all the local derbies. But the thing that drags people into sport like nothing else is international rugby league. There is no bigger clash than England versus Australia, and I think that we should all celebrate international rugby league. And a World Cup year self-evidently only comes around once every 4 years, and it'll be a thrilling finale. And if we can get our best 17 out there, who knows?
And that's what I want to talk to you about. Lastly, but not leastly, the future, and that is two things. One is the international calendar, because obviously you've got a massive part to play in the international game, and I don't think that we'll ever get to rugby union levels unless we get a competitive international calendar. So is that something that you're wanting to increase over the coming years?
It's a thorny issue as international calendar. I agree with everything you've just said about it's important that international rugby league is respected and has a simple, clearly defined calendar that people can buy into over the years. We are working with Australia, and in particular the NRL, to make sure that the most compelling international calendar is available to us. We do know that we'll be World Cup every 4 years. We're pushing quite hard for the reintroduction of some Lions tours.
Yes.
So because we were at an event on last weekend.
How good were it?
Yeah, it's a terrific event, and I think it's beholden upon the administrators of today to give playing opportunities for the best players to go on extended tours where they play at weekends and the midweek and those kind of things. And you looked around the room last week and you see all these great names. And great players.
I want to say, who's your favourite players? Who do you look up to?
The one person I probably just look up to is Jim Mills, although he's beginning to shrink a little bit.
You won't fight him, would you?
I was there with Adam Fogarty and the three of us. Well, I tell you, there wasn't a lot of room left around that side of outside of the room. But these are players that I used to stand on the terraces and watch, and you see them, and to see the twinkle in their eye and the fondness as they recall the deeds and the exploits of when they were on tour in the 60s and 70s and 80s. It just reminds you what an obligation modern day and current administrators have to develop those opportunities for modern day players. It's my passionate belief that every quality player from every generation deserves a chance to go on an extended tour one way or the other, and then they can grow old either gracefully or disgracefully reminiscing about what
Roy
they did as a
Dickinson.
player.
Mate, I completely agree. And the one thing that Neil Fox, who for me is obviously one of the greatest of all time, we interviewed him on Saturday, and he said, we've got to bring back, he called it Cumberland, I didn't even know Cumbria or Cumberland, Yorkshire, Lancashire and Cumberland as a some kind of series. I know there's all sorts of issues within clubs and stuff, but is that something that you'd like to see come back, or do you think it's dead in the water?
I know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Just because we celebrate and we cherish history doesn't mean to say that they're just slavishly following what used to happen is the right way forward. Cumberland and or Cumbria, when the whole sport was part-time, then that was a significant there was a competitive balance between Yorkshire, Lancashire and Cumbria, which actually doesn't exist now. There isn't. If you look at the modern day geographical bounds, there isn't a club in Lancashire.
I know,
because in Greater Manchester, and there isn't a full-time club in Cumbria. I think what Neil's really saying is that we have to find ways of making sure that the best talent get an opportunity to play. Representative honours and things to play for. And we looked at that with exiles as a way of test planning. There are calls on the players. They are full-time athletes. The clubs who employ them have got a 30-game season to cope with. So we've got to be careful not to overload them. But I know what he means.
Nigel, best luck this year. We're there to support you all the way through. It's going to be another great year. Rugby League, top man. Thank you very much for coming on Rugby.
Great pleasure. Thank you.
Mate.
Thank you.
Whether it's power station, factory or stadium, covering installation or maintenance, Spec, the specialist power contractor to industry.